is Copper with Airsoft Corps, and I'm here with Jason.
What's up, guys?
We're at Bennett's, and fixing to go over a little bit of the game dynamics for South American Blitz 3. I know y'all been waiting on that, so we wanted to put that out for you. Now, the standard Airsoft rules for safety and minimum engagement distances and everything are going to apply for South American Blitz, and you can find that rule set a link for it. You can find it at SAB3.eventbrite.com, and that'll take you to a couple different locations. One's a Facebook and one's a website where you can get that rule set. But there's also a basic rule set for this particular op, and that's what we're going to discuss here today. Now, he's not prepared. I've prepared him. I want him to ask questions. That way, if this sounds crazy, then if he's clear on it, hopefully you guys will be clear on it, because if he can understand it, no.
We'll learn together, guys.
All right, so first, what's going to initially stand out is that there are 5 factions for this op, this SAB3 op.
5.
And it's not your standard 2, your tan versus green and all that stuff. So there's going to be 2 Colombian drug cartels. There's going to be 1 Colombian police force. There will be, that by the way is played by Claymore and his MSC crew. They're coming in for that. The Black Eagles, and then there's going to be Southcom. That's the International Drug Task Force.
Well, now, Black Eagles have a special uniform, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they're going to have some special shirts or something.
I may have saw something about that, yeah. So you'll know them because, of course, Black Eagles, they're going to be wearing black. I guess, you figured that out. Now, the numbers of the players on each faction is set so that there's 3 main factions, and then there'll be the 2 sub factions. But now only the 3 main factions will actually have a tactical operations center, or a TOC, and that's the 2 cartels and Southcom. Now, on Google Earth, you can find an image of Paintball, Arkansas, kind of like this. Note that north is that way, but it's kind of it's kind of wide, so I printed it like this so we could see it a little better. This is actually the entrance over here and the registration area with the speedball courses for paintball and all that stuff. And then you get out here into the AO, all this stuff. So we're going to actually have Southcom, their TOC will be in this area. Actually, it's in the out of bounds area, out of play area. So we'll be back at the registration area with all the little booths and whatnot.
Right before the bridge, right?
Right, yeah, right before the bridge there. So that's key for later on when we start talking about the game dynamics and what that means. That is actually pretty key, because once they get stuff and get it to their TOC, it's out of play. You can't even touch it. You can't, because of course they're in an out of bounds area, so you can't attack it. But there's a trade-off for that. We'll talk about it. Now, the other thing is we're going to have the 2 cartels kind of spread out, and one of those will be in the little Ewok village area, and one of those will be up in, I think it's this area. I can't really see my map through my camera very well, but I think it's this area. So they'll be at opposite ends of the field. That's the point. Now, the Black Eagles and the police, they will be kind of floating around, just doing their thing. And, of course, the Colombian police force are certainly welcome at the Southcom TOC, unless they prove themselves to be untrustworthy, because they're supposed to be helping Southcom. So they're supposed to be good guys. Okay, so what's interesting is that all 5 of these factions are actually against one another. So there can be only one winner, only one. There can be alliances and this and that, but only one winner in the end. So you say, well, how can a small faction like the Black Eagles or the police actually win? Or how can Southcom win, because it looks like these other factions could just gang up on them?
Well, my question right off the bat is, how are Southcom and then the police force going to be on separate teams? Because, I mean, essentially they're supposed to be working together. Essentially
they are. However, the Colombian police force is not Southcom.
So they can be bought.
They can be bought. The Black Eagles could pay the police, or the cartels could pay the police some hush money or some protection money, or
so
who knows.
What you're saying is the Colombian police force can be bought.
Uh-huh.
Who would have thought?
All right. So what happens is this is what makes the op shine here. This is the openness, and it's wonderful for this game. The scenario is just wide open, but there are some basic objectives, but they're incredibly simple. And then where the strategy and the planning come in, and the complications and stuff, is how you establish the alliances with other factions, but at the same time, you can never completely trust them. So
I'm gonna have to take my meds for this one. I have trust issues already. So.
But they need your help, though. See, from your faction, to have a chance of winning as well.
So basically, you have to help each other along only so far. You have to decide when you're going to double cross the other team and make a winning play.
Exactly. Now, we're going to go over this from the highest level of simplicity. Then later we can discuss a bit more in depth about strategy and planning, maybe in another video or something. But this one, we just want to go over the high-level overview of what's going to happen. And one main thing to point out before you start thinking ahead and trying to plan your game and all that kind of stuff is understand one major rule. You, as the individual player, will remain loyal completely to your faction. That's an unbreakable rule in the game. Everybody's going to abide by that. Your faction leader tells you that your group's going to be friendly with this faction. That's what you're going to do. You're going to be friendly with that faction. There's no backstabbing, none of that. No having a mole, or anything like that. It's just going to be a rule.
So you have to screw each other over as a group.
No doing your own thing and all that stuff. But role play is definitely important to create the experience for the milsim game, and simply opening fire unprovoked on a faction or something, that's just not allowed. Your faction stance with another faction will dictate your rules of engagement. So if you're unsure, ask your faction leader. So how do you win? The bottom line is that you need product in your possession at the end of the day for you to win. You need more product than your opposition, than the other factions. So what's the product and how do you get it and all this? I don't know if you even know this yet. The product's going to be represented by some small boxes. Now there's going to be only two sources for these products, and that's the cartels themselves. And each cartel's product box will be identified by the color tape for their cartel. So it's going to be gray or it's going to be tan. And then each product box will be sequentially numbered 1 through 50. So each cartel is going to have 50 of these boxes. Now they can be put into play in a random order. Now that doesn't matter. But why the numbers matter is because the admin has a key that corresponds with those product box numbers, and each box has a random monetary value. So now the sum of all these boxes combined for each faction is going to be the same, but no guarantee that because you have 3 and they have 2 that you've got more. You're not going to know that till the end of the day.
Well, that makes sense though, because one cartel is dealing cocaine and the other is marijuana, right?
Right, and it also prevents people from getting comfortable and then thinking, I'm just going to sit on what I got and stop, because you can't do that because you're not guaranteed to win. And even if you have 5 and they have 5, you're probably not tied. Somebody's going to win. So this keeps it going until the end of the day. So what you want is all of it, essentially. But a cartel's own product boxes that they start with has no value to that cartel. Only the other cartel's boxes have value to them. So otherwise, if they just sit on them and no product moves, then nobody's got any points. And there is no winner. So this is where all the fun starts to begin. Because how does a cartel get their product to the other cartel? Well, the product has to be manufactured first of all. Okay, so before it can be delivered. Now we're not going to be putting packages together and stuff like that in the AO, but during the game, a facility will have to be established by each cartel in order to be considered in business.
So shouldn't the cartels, but wait a minute, if I'm a cartel and I'm trying to deal drugs, I need to know how much I'm dealing?
You're dealing one box for one box, but you're not going to know Because see, market can fluctuate. So just because you trade one for one, maybe the next day, the price on marijuana isn't the same. Price on cocaine.
You guys
isn't
didn't
the
know
same.
he was this good at this, right? Aaron has skills.
So we're just dealing in a box for a box. That's what cartels want to do: get their box to them and get a box from them back to them. So, but that's the trick, is how to get it between all these folks. So
I'm gonna need to call my probation officer. I'm gonna have to get a disclaimer or release or something.
So, in order for them to be in business, once again, we have to have a manufacturing plant. Okay, so that's an important asset that the cartel has to control, is their one manufacturing plant somewhere on the AO, and they're going to have a flag, and some group of these cartel's members will go and establish this place and have to secure it and make sure that flag stays standing. So let's say if the Black Eagles are like, man, it sure would be a shame if something happens to that plant, because now you can't do business, man. If only y'all had somebody to protect you. Now you got to grease that palm, see. But we're not quite to that point yet.
So, but the plants themselves are already, there's already going to be a destination established, or are you going to have to do that on the fly?
That's on the fly. So what you'll do is the cartels will decide. There's lots of places out there to pick from. You just pick your own little secret location wherever you want to go, and make that flag stand up right there, and there you go. You've established your spot. Now, what the cartel has to do is check with that. We'll call it the forward operating base, or FOB. So the cartel has a tactical operations center, or a TOC, and they have an FOB. So they got to check with their FOB, their plant, to make sure they're still operational before they can pull product from their inventory at the TOC. All right. So I know it's starting to get me, but once we got this locked in, this is the same all day long. Doesn't change. What changes is how these groups interact, and all the little alliances and things that can be made. It's where it gets fun. But we have to understand the basics. All right. Cartels have products. In order to pull products out, they got to be in operation. So you got to have a FOB. And then you pull product from your TOC if your FOB is still standing. If it falls, you got to go establish another one somewhere. See? So you're always watching against Southcom coming in and ruining your operation, or the police trying to extort money from you, or the Black Eagles, or whatever. So once a cartel figures out that their FOB is still in business, their plant is still functioning, they are then able to pull a maximum of three packets at one time from their stash and put those in play. Now that number is pretty important, because they could actually try to take all three themselves to the other cartel and get 3 packets back, or perhaps they got to give one to the police to turn a blind eye, and then they got to give one to the Black Eagles for a little protection, and then one makes it to the cartel, and maybe the other cartel has to do the same thing back. But you quickly see that the cartels are the ones that are going to lose out, because they will each end up with 1 packet apiece, whereas at the end of all that transaction, the Black Eagles and police both have 2 each. You see what I'm saying?
So then there's the opportunity for them to work together also.
Right. So there's very good reason for a cartel to want to cut out.
Well, I mean,
the
that's
middleman.
what I'm sitting there wondering, is why would I work with anybody? I would just take my 3 packets to where they needed to be.
It seems like it'd be that simple, wouldn't it? But now you've also got a TOC to protect, you've got a manufacturing facility to protect, and you've got product delivery to make across an entire AO. A lot of ground to cover. There's Southcom, Black Eagles, and the police all looking for you. So you can kind of see where you need to work with some folks.
I'm working on my drug dealing. I'll have to call you back. Always something, guys.
All right, so you begin to see the complications. It's not as simple as, I'm just going to cut them out and take. No, I think bad things may befall you if you try to do that, because they're going to want their cut. If you're doing it all on your own, nobody else is going to win, and they want to win. See how complicated it can get?
Yeah, SAB3, simply complicated.
All right. The rules are simple, but the scenario can get complicated because of the relationships that you got to establish, and the trust, and the betrayal, and the backstabbing, and the revenge. It gets pretty cool.
Medication.
So number one, cartels have to protect their FOBs to keep product coming from their inventory. They have to pull only 3 pieces at a time. That's the max. As long as the plant is operational, their FOB, as long as it's operational. Then they got to deliver them to the cartel, the other cartel, and get back up to 3 packets from that cartel. All right? And a cartel's own stash is worth 0 to that cartel. So we've kind of established those things. Also, we've established that the Black Eagles and the police may need to be bribed or paid. I can tell you it's not going to be a may, it's going to be they will have to be at some point, because they're going to be a problem for you if you're a cartel member. But that's to ensure your drug traffic can continue uninterrupted. Southcom, we know, can't be corrupted by bribes. They can't be bought. And they will be arresting drug traffickers. We'll have some rules set on that a little down the road. They can arrest drug traffickers, or they will kill anybody that tries to resist.
So rule set, no police brutality, no. None of that.
Hey, you never know. But they are going to seize your drug packages that they find, and only once they have the packages back to their TOC, then they can't be stolen, because then they're gone. Then they're outside the AO.
Once Southcom gets it back to their TOC, it's done.
Right.
It's like locked in a vault.
Right. Now here's the trade-off there. The trade-off is that Southcom has to check the evidence in, so the player that's carrying the evidence has to tag this structure that's in the center of the map. Let me find it. The check-in station is going to be somewhere in here, I believe. It's on this road. It's on this main road. It's like a little safe zone that's out there. You can't miss it. That's where the Southcom guys have to go and check in. So they have to tag that building with product in tow before they can go back to their TOC. So that is a big tactical hint right there.
So along those lines, it can be taken before they...
Yeah, if you can get rid of the Southcom guys and when they're transporting that product back, it can be stolen. All right, but let's take note that only the 3 packets, like we said, could be put into play at once. That means there could be 1 for the other cartel, 1 for the police, 1 for the Black Eagles, right?
Or 3 directly to...
Or 3 directly if you want to take... Yeah, if you want to be that... You want to try it, go ahead.
So we can't flood the market. 3 at a time.
Yeah, 3 at a time, right. If you're still in business, if your FOB or your plant is still producing stuff, your flag's still standing.
SOB doesn't screw up your FOB.
Right. So, there's going to be backstabbing. There's going to be deals gone sour. There's going to be killing. There's going to be revenge. There's going to be alliances. It's all unscripted. It's all going to happen at SAB3. So, are you going to be there? What's your plan for victory, man? I hope you have a backup plan, because your plan probably won't work. But we'll see you at the Blitz.